Okay, we are bringing up the virtual studio, adding the baseball field background, adding scene 1 and scene 2. Monitoring the YouTube live stream. Stream health is good. We will be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, good evening. Welcome to Renew US here on PJNET Live, and we are excited every Tuesday night because Dale Didway is with us. He is waiting in the green room as we speak. For now, oh, and I just touched my screen and I have no idea what just happened. Don't you love these new Windows 10? Oh boy. Well, we are on autopilot. Folks, you know, this would be a very good time to bring Dale Didway on board and say, welcome, Dale. Dale blogs every Tuesday, and you can find it at daledidway.com. Now, don't attempt to spell Didway based on phonetics. It's right there on your screen, Dale Didway. Just go to daledidway.com. And today's... well, Dale, actually, you told a story about what you were doing last Saturday.
Yeah, I did. I touched on it briefly, and it was my wife's idea to post about this. So because I was coming up again, I was coming up empty, and she said, "Well, just write about what you did Saturday." I thought, "Okay,
sure.
Great." So
Sure.
I mean, she gave me the nod, so, and that got the ball rolling. So.
Well, when you sent me a message and you were almost apologetic, saying, hey, not bad, not my best, but I tell you, Dale, this blog touched me in so many ways and has got me fired up. Okay, so I'm going to poke you in the hind part to tell you something. Let me tell you. All right, it starts very early on behind the scenes. You were contacted by somebody who was asking you to do something. Okay, but before they even asked, they went out and bought 30 of your books. So in other words, this was a covenant relationship before you ever heard from them. They committed themselves to your books, whether you would show up or not.
Oh yeah, basically. But they, wanted me to come and talk to the team, which I was honored to do that, and was very happy to do that because I didn't want to deny them a blessing. Because oftentimes, Coach, that you hear somebody say they want to do something for somebody. And oh no, that's okay. I don't need that. And what you're really doing when you do that is denying them a blessing to do something, because they're not doing it out of sympathy or out of some ill, conceived manner. They want to help, and they want to do something from the heart. And so when you deny that, sometimes you're denying a blessing for that person. So I was like, sure, that's great, would love to. And they wanted to keep everything quiet. They even paid for breakfast for everybody. So. It was an awesome gesture on their part.
Well, and the awesome gestures continue, Dale, because I have contacted people to come appear here, on our program, and not many of them, but some of them start asking questions. Like, well, how many people are going to see this? And then some of them will say, well, what's in it for me?
Yeah. Well,
you didn't ask those questions. You said you would be there.
Well, you told me to send me a check too, so. No, I'm kidding. no, yeah, I thought it was a great opportunity. So I thought, why not? It's a great way to talk, to meet new people. It's a great way to spread the word. It's a great way to get a ministry out. So I didn't think about that. So yeah.
I would leap at the chance. It's funny because sometimes I will be contacted to present, do some presentation. I never ask any questions. I just say, well, no, wait a minute. I say yes. I'd be happy to. Mm-hmm. Then I may have some questions. But the answer, my yes, my commitment is not subject to or contingent upon or predicated upon how many people are going to be there and how much is in this for me. Sometimes they do. Scare up a little honorarium, but more often than not, that is not the case. It's something that I just do because it's an opportunity to take a stand for Christ, and that's exactly what you did. I'm proud of you, brother.
Well, yeah, well, thank you. And you know, that's happened to me recently when I asked Clint Hurdle to do a book signing with me. He didn't ask me well, how much will this cost? How much will you pay me? He didn't ask me any of that, but I offered. He goes, no, 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 that's fine. I'll come down and get you. I mean, these folks have resources, but it's still nice to offer something. But he didn't ask me, hey, I'll do it for this amount of money. He said, sure, I'll show up.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think when you have that attitude, you're going to. I don't say I'm going to go far, but when you have that attitude, you're likely to open other doors will open for you.
Well, I want to qualify what I'm about to say. There is nothing wrong with professionals seeking to earn a living serving in the kingdom. For example, if you go to seminary and get a degree and get a job at a church, there is certainly nothing wrong with you being a professional and being paid to do such. So let me start there. Now, having said that, when you are asked to give, or when there is an opportunity to give of yourself, and if there's any thought in your mind about what's in it for me, I think that that is a hindrance to not only your ministry, but also it's a hindrance to the blessings that are likely to come if you would set those fleshly desires aside. And it really is rooted in lack of faith.
Yeah. Well, I have a great example of that. It's a great description of that. When I was researching Dugout Devotions, I went to a former baseball player that I know, big name. Folks back in the 70s, the 80s will know this person. Went to this gentleman. We sat down over a cup of coffee, and I said, I would love to have you in the book. And he him-hawed around. He alluded to money. And then his agent contacted me, and he says, well, he's not doing this, unless he's paid. And I said, well, I'm not going to pay you. So, sorry. Then later, when they saw the book, and they asked how it's coming, I told them all the athletes I've talked to, and they said, oh, is it too late? And I said, well, yeah, it's too late. It's being published. Yeah, they missed out on an opportunity for that. So, because they were wanting compensated for it, and I understand it, but I can't pay people to talk to them. So.
Well, but Dale, I want you to remember this conversation, because I sincerely believe, brother, that you are on a trajectory to be speaking publicly and earning fees for it. And I want you to remember what you said tonight, because Coach Bowden was Bobby Bowden of Florida State. When I was a senior in high school, 1977, he had just arrived in Tallahassee. He actually spoke at our awards banquet that year. Now remember, we had 14 players. So here is the coach. Of course, no one had heard of Coach Bowden at that point. Now, of course, things went on and on and on. Now today, well, I don't know about today, but back when he was on the speaking circuit, his fee was about $30,000. Okay. Now, one day I was approached to partner with someone else to do a prayer breakfast, and we wanted to ask Bobby Bowden if he would come pray and say a few words. You know how much he charged us? Nothing. Okay. Now, we actually had the prayer breakfast in Campbell Stadium. So his office is in the south end zone, and we were at the University Club meeting room, the ballroom, on the north end of the stadium. So it wasn't much of an inconvenience. It was really on his way to work. He had to walk about 100 yards or so. But nonetheless, that's the kind of guy Coach Bowden was and is. So Dale, keep that in mind, and I hope that the Lord does bless you, and I think He is. You're seeing the fruit almost now, or I am. I don't know if you see it. Do you see just how fast you're moving forward?
No, I do at times, but I really don't. But when I put that out and today, and I put a little note with it saying it's not my best, and I didn't think it was. But the response has been phenomenal on Twitter, and I've received a lot of encouraging notes from people, and I appreciate that. I want to say hi to Tammy out in Georgia. She's we were able to connect this week, so hi. But she sent me a nice encouraging note, and as well as a lot of folks did, and it was really that encourages me, because sometimes we all fight some discouragement. So I didn't think it was one of my best efforts.
Well, we live on it. We fight, we battle, and and this is the thing: is a lot of people think they don't have anything to give. Dale, everybody has a word of encouragement, and you have to be sincere. Okay, you may have to actually read a blog, okay, or something, but just offer just a comment on a blog. It doesn't take long, but for the person doing that, it's like life blood, and you just never know what the impact of that simple comment. I know Canton Tweed is very good about, I think females are better at this than males, to be honest, but she often just adds that little extra sentiment to a tweet or a reply or to an invitation that I just, it's like, man, you got to come see all this really cool gear,
Yeah.
I'm going to preach a minute. In giving, most churches and religious organizations, your financial giving is tax deductible. I am opposed to that, believe it or not, because there are so many strings attached to that tax deductibility. I don't want to get into a political discussion, but at the same time, why is it necessary to make it tax? Is that some kind of incentive to give? Wait a minute. The incentive to give is you want to give. If you're getting back a tax deduction in return, again, that hinders the blessing of giving.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. So, I mean, you're not preaching, you're preaching the choir, I think, on there. So,
well, and I wonder sometimes when I look at church budgets, the 80-20 rule is everywhere in life, but churches are no exceptions. 80% of the money is coming from 20% of the people. I mean, and since when did giving become so private? It's such a private thing now. Think back in the Old Testament days when you had to bring animals to slaughter. Well, it was quite apparent what you were bringing to anybody who wanted to observe. But now it's a big secret because I think if everybody actually knew, what if we had to make that public? How many of us would be embarrassed and start making excuses? Well, I do other things,
Right, or else you're embarrassed about how little you give, or sometimes not, and modest about how much you give. I mean, last year when we did our taxes, we were like, wow, we gave that much?
Yeah.
And it was like, really? And I think that's why we've been blessed, because when you give, our church teaches, tithing is a form of worship. It's not to be begrudgingly, it is worship. So we do that, and we make it a good time. So,
well, we have some policies here at PJNET, and your blog was about the anonymous gift. Okay, any financial gift to PJNET is anonymous, and there's two reasons for that. One of them I've already not only alluded to, I've spent the entire program talking about. If you think that you're going to get some recognition or some trophy as a reward for giving money to help PJNET, keep your money. Okay. If you want to help the ministry and the mission of what we do here, we certainly need financial resources to carry that out. But if you need some ego stroke or diaper change in return, just keep the money. Now, that being said, I'm also doing these people a big favor, because once it becomes public that you've given money to PJNET or whatever, all of a sudden you've got so many friends that need money. So I'm doing everybody a big favor. No one's going to hit you up because you gave money to PJNET. We are not going to make that public. And we are not a 501c3. We are a corporation for profit. So we are not required to disclose the income. I actually have to pay income tax on it.
Yeah.
Which yesterday reminded me of that very much.
and in the spirit of giving, there's nothing wrong with telling folks what you've done. But if you do it with a boastful heart, then you got some problems. If you do it with a heart of gratitude and sincerity, I mean, it doesn't take much if somebody's in line behind you at Tim Hortons to tell the clerk, hey, I've got their cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
And the
most fun you can have for $1.50.
Yeah. So yeah, really. So yeah, Angie and I were out to dinner the other night at our little hamburger joint called Hickey's Hamburgers, And we were leaving, and we just had soup, and these little grilled hamburgers are awesome. And again, I'm not saying this to be boastful. I'm just saying this is what we did. We were leaving, and there was an elderly lady sitting there having dinner by herself, eating a hamburger. And I just walked up, I paid for her dinner, and I just told the gals, I said, "Hey, whatever she's having, I got it.
Take it." There you
And
go.
she was the waitress was very, she thought it was neat. I didn't tell the lady. We just paid and walked on. So, and I'm not saying that to, to get gratitude and accolades, but I'm just saying, it doesn't take much to do that. It doesn't take much at all.
When you're
So,
at a restaurant,
and huh?
when you're at a restaurant, do you actually say a blessing?
Yeah,
Did you
of
do that
course.
last night?
Last night.
Okay. Be bold.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But it amazes me how bold people can be behind the anonymous keyboard on Twitter and Facebook. But here's why I
Yeah.
say that. Okay, and I don't every time I don't do it. I should. I don't. There are times that I have been ashamed of myself because if I'm by myself, there's a better than even chance that I will say a blessing. But when I'm with somebody, that's when you get compromised. That's when I chicken out because I don't know how that person across the table from me feels about that. I have literally waited for them to go to the buffet to say that's how chicken I am. But here's one I have done. It's real easy to do. The waiter or waitress will be coming by. I will say I will be saying a prayer prior to eating this meal that you're going to bring. So if there's anything, I have a very good relationship with God. I'm really in tight with him. And if there's anything you would like for me to bring up on your behalf, I'm talking to him anyway. It's really no trouble. Let me know. You get some weird looks sometimes.
Yeah.
It's easy to do, Dale.
Yeah, I know. So we were talking about earlier about giving and wanting people to know or not know. I get a kick sometimes out, and I talk to a lot of professional athletes, and a lot of them do a lot of anonymous things, and that's really cool. But then you see at Christmas time that they do these wonderful things where they take kids to stores, and that's great. But there's always a news crew traveling with them,
Yeah.
catching it on film. So I think they want people to say, "Hey, what you're doing is awesome."
Well,
They don't need that.
yeah. Now, if they called a press conference and arranged for it, that's one thing. But if it's parenthetical and unavoidable, but even then, there's ways they can do it discreetly. But I'm glad they do it. I
am too.
and for them to just visit a hospital room. I know as a child when I was in the hospital, I mean, if a sports figure would have, it would have just made my day in ways I can't imagine.
But yeah, but I was very grateful for all the comments I received on mostly through Twitter. Have been very encouraging notes, and I appreciate that because like I said, sometimes I get discouraged and I don't think this is worth putting out there. And the response was very good, and I'm happy with it. I'm gonna be putting out a different post Thursday on our local paper. They wanted something. I don't say controversial because it's my opinion and I'm right, so it's not controversial to me. So,
Well, it's like the upset. Only half the crowd is upset.
they requested a specific topic. I thought, oh, sure, I'll be glad to. I didn't want to put it on my blog. I don't like to get into politics on my blog a whole lot. So I'm going to save that for our paper, but I'll put it out on Twitter, and hopefully those same folks will be out there and cheer me on. So they typically agree with what I say, and that's fine. That's great. But if they don't agree, then that's just too bad.
Well, if I were writing for a paper, as you are, and they suggested or told me, dictated even, the topic, I really wouldn't have a problem with that. But I have been asked to pray and then coached on what to say and not to say. And I'm like, maybe I'm not the one you want to have pray. Because if I pray, I'm going to pray as the Lord leads me. And I'm going to pray in accordance with my faith. And if there's someone, like the invocation of a football game, well, of course there's going to be people of different faiths in a crowd. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
But I've even had my pastor, hand me a script. I handed it back. I said, if you want me to pray, I'll pray. If you want somebody to read a script, find somebody else. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, so that'll be out Thursday, and it's yeah, like I said, it's not that it'll be viewed as controversial. If it's not, it's my opinion. So
It's your opinion.
it's my opinion.
You know, Dale, one of the challenges, and I'm not gifted, but I think one of the reasons for the success of your blog is you keep it to whatever 800 words. I don't know what the right count is,
Yeah.
but it can be ingested very in a very short period of time, and your books are fashioned in the same manner. Okay, each devotion is not a thesis on some theological truth and vexing argument. It's a simple story, but I want to make it a point to ask you, was there something you would have put in this week's blog that you didn't just because it would have made it too long?
No, there's nothing in there that in fact, I had to cut some things out. I thought it was too long.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. What'd you cut out? What's the outtakes?
A couple of things where I kind of ramble on a little bit and kind of repeat myself, but at one point I kind of gave a hint who the person was, and my wife said you probably should take that out. So we did, and I was thankful for that because I really didn't want this person. This person really didn't want to be identified, and I would have kind of given a clue
Yeah.
to who it was locally, and that was probably the wrong thing to do. So it was good judgment on her part because this person isn't a rich person by any means. They're not, they don't. They're not meager by any means, but they're not wealthy. So to buy, 30 books and to pay for breakfast for 30 people was, not just something you reach in your pocket and grab. So
Now these were I forget what sport these players were from.
baseball is my son's baseball team, old baseball team.
Oh, that's right, because you had a picture of your son from years back. That's right.
Yeah. So I was honored to do that, to go out and talk to them, and we're getting some other requests. So it's starting to, I guess, snowball a little bit. So it's good.
You never know.
Is that our bell telling us we're done?
No, that's me getting a text message.
Okay.
Go ahead and set up.
But
I have so many friends.
I have three. I have three now.
Yeah, I have. Well, text is my preferred method because it's non-interruptive, other than the little ding you just heard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
well, Dell, I can't wait until next week, and of course, we'll be looking forward to your article Thursday. But congratulations on just doing what you did. Not only that, it's inspiring to me. I hope that I have an opportunity like that, but I have to commend you. You made the very most of an opportunity to minister, and I'm just proud of you, man. I just want you to keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thanks. And when I was invited to speak, I don't speak long either. It's kind of like my chapters. They're short and sweet. I get in, tell my message, get out, tell a couple of anecdotes, and eat some pancakes and bacon. And that was what it's all about. So that was a fun time. The book's doing really well. Really thrilled with how it's going. In 2 weeks, we'll be in Pittsburgh doing a book signing. We're looking at trying to line one up in Cincinnati with one of the other athletes who's in the book. We were speaking to them the other day, and they said sure. So that's starting to move along. We just sent in our final edits for First Down Devotions, which will be out August 5th, and we're excited about that. Got a good looking cover on that book, and we've got a lot of other things going on. So,
well, I pre-ordered, but when it actually gets out, I meet with a group of men. There's only about half a dozen of us, but I think I'm going to take the inspiration from your blog today and go ahead and get enough books for that, so that and it's funny because a lot of times I can't be there because they meet Saturday morning from 7 to 8. Well, sometimes I have to clock in at 7 or 7:30. Now, if I clock in at 8, I can be there, and I have to leave at about 20 after. So I'm not there a lot, but we have gone through several different Bible study type of books in that vein. So I think I'll just get about half a dozen of them and suggest it to and just give them to our group. Well, actually, I'll send them to you for signing. You send them back, and then I'll distribute them to the group, and we'll see how it goes from there.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that.
All right. Well, Dale, you always enrich our life, not only each Tuesday night here, but throughout the week with your blogs, your articles, your activity on Twitter and Facebook. You're a team player, and we are just grateful to God for you, and just bless you in your ministry, Dale. Keep doing what you're doing. Say hello to Angie, and your granddaughter is Sophie. Oh, bring her on again. Bring her on again sometime.
Our grandson is coming May 1st, so we're excited about that.
Mayday, Mayday. Okay.
Yes.
Well, bring him on the set. We want to see.
We'll do that.
All right, brother. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Folks, if you're not blessed by this man's ministry, the problem isn't his ministry. Okay, you need to take your spiritual pulse and check into that. But we are so grateful to have Dale on the PJNET team, and if you haven't already, you need to follow him on Twitter. That's at Dale Didway. He's also on Facebook, and his website is daledidway.com. It's spelled like that. Okay. That's how you spell it. Just add .com. Go there, and his blogs he regularly blogs every Tuesday. And if you're not blessed by that, again, you need to check. You need to go see a doctor or something like that, because you're not. And if you're not following Dale on Twitter, well, you're not doing Twitter right either. So do it right, and we will be back tomorrow night. And the night thereafter, Friday night, by the way, we have Roger, American Refugee, and we had Wild Bill for America last Saturday. You probably missed that because he's been absent a couple of weeks, but he is back on board, and you will want to be here Saturday night for Wild Bill for America, Bill's Bites, and much, much more. For now, let's get back to some praise, worship, and fellowship right here on PJNet Live.